Okay, so we're going to move on now to the adjustment of the sights. The rifle we're using is the new AX Mark III from Accuracy International. This one is in 338 caliber, and the sight is a Smith & Bender 5-25 by 56. Again, I'm a fan of both these systems. So we've made the adjustments to put the point of aim at the point of impact, and we're happy with the shootings going now. So what we need to do is slip the sights to then zero the rifle. So on the Smith & Bender, you need a small Allen key, and there's 2 Grub screws in the elevation drum and 2 in the deflection drum. So we're going to undo those and slip it back to 0. Now it's important to get the rifle as sturdy as possible. I've got a butt bag under the rear and I've got the bipod down, and it's on a fairly stable surface. So with the Allen key, and again it's far better to get, rather than the small ones you can get, or even use like a mountain bike device, multi-tool, far better to have just a standard Allen key and keep this in your wallet or in your pocket. So we finally locate the Grub screws on the Smith & Bender, and again notice how I'm going to use it. I'm going to use it in this first to unlock the Grub screw, then I'm going to put it in using the length of the Allen key. There we go, that's unlocked. And we do it, so the Grub screw is going to come out, but not fully out, just until it's sitting proud of the surface. So when I run my thumb over now, I can feel it. No need to take it out completely, that's a mistake. There we go, that's it unlocked. Now with these Grub screws, again, another little tip is to put a little drop of WD-40 on them from time to time, because they do rust. When the scopes get wet, they do rust. Need a little bit more on that one. Again, it's just a little bit fiddly. Okay, so it's important to remember where we were. Now we need to make an adjustment of 10 clicks up, and we need to come across 11 clicks, which I've actually moved. So what I need to do now is just put the elevation drum to 0. So in this case, we lift it almost completely off. If you take it off, that's not a problem. And we're going to locate the 0. Now for this instruction, I'm going to remove this and just show you where we need to put it to. So we're going to move it onto the 0 point. Let's hope. So we find it round, there we go. So there we go, so we're going to line it up on the 0 there. Okay, so we've obviously got the indicator here, so the key is to get them lined up and just slot it in place. And the important thing is not to turn the turret as we're doing it. Now each different type of scope has a different adjustment to it, although the common theme is Grub screws and adjustment like this. So once it's in place and we're happy it's lined up, we just tighten it up. And again, we take that to the end of that when we nip that up in a minute. I'm just checking that's still in the right place. Like I say, it's a little bit fiddly, but it's important to keep the weight on there and make sure everything is nice and stable when you're doing it. There we go. Finally, once I'm happy, and I'm just going to turn the Allen key round and then just tighten with a little bit of leverage. And that's enough. Remember, the key is not to force this. The good thing having a long section of metal here is you can feel it. With experience, you can feel when it's in the right place. That's it, you can see it just starting to bend slightly, that's enough. Perfect. And what we need to do is do the same for the deflection drum. Okay, so we're going to now adjust the deflection drum on the side here. So again, using the Allen key. Like I say, a little bit fiddly. The key is to remember exactly where you are and then unloosen it. As before, remember, bring the Grub screw out. I don't know if you can see this, but it's out about 1mm at worst sticking out proud of it. That's enough. The key is not to do it too much. Now of course it had to be underneath, so it's always a fiddly one. There we go, just break that now. There we go. But you can see why the advantage of the Allen key and getting in these little awkward places. So again, we're going to pull this off. It's now free of the rotating mechanism. We're going to put it on the 0 and then put it back in. I'm happy. Slot that back in. Right, so this is how we do this series, the oldest series of the PM2 Smith and Bender. Each different scope you're going to have to refer to your manual, but the idea is basically the same. Some have a simpler system where you can just unlock using a screwdriver. Others have 2 or even 3 grub screws per drum. Again, you can see I'm just putting the leverage on, that's enough. You could over tighten these, so just take your time. So we're just checking we're happy, 100%. There we go. So that's it. So now the deflection drum is 0, the elevation drum is 0, and where we were shooting on the target, the point of aim is the point of impact. So we know that this weapon is now zeroed to the ammunition we're using to that particular range. And of course it's important to check 0 every time you shoot, particularly if you've removed the scope, and more importantly if you change the type of ammunition or the conditions change. If you shoot in the winter to summer, then there will be a change of zeroing. And really, even in the military, a check 0 before you go on to an operation or before you conduct any live firing activity is very important. What you do at 100 metres is extremely important, so it's important to get the zeroing very precise. Don't think that's good enough. If you're not sure, reshoot another 3 or 5 rounds again, and just keep doing it until your POI is your point of aim.